Oh, good. This is where I get to have a little bit of fun. Fun is the best thing to have, by the way. The reason why I get to have fun is because we described the first 7 layers to our practice and protocols. Our magic, our life, our love. Yes! Not no. Why is this part fun? Okay, once you build the first 7 houses, realms, dimensions, worlds, chakras, days of the week, don't forget to rest. Sleep is important, right? Those who have followed me long enough understand sleep and how valuable this is. So, when you awaken after rest, you move into the 8th house. Now, this is where infinite possibilities exist. But in order for you to find your way in the space of infinite possibilities of the infinite 8, okay, you must have a map. Now, a map is where you will find your principled aspects of morality. So we have law students here at this changeover for a reason, because they have discovered the element of color through the 7 houses and realms and dimensions in which we discussed here. But now we are moving from a magical perspective to a sorcerer's perspective. Hence why we went private. Because you discovered your principled aspects, which is in time subjective. There are aspects to morality and ethics that we all have to abide by, and we went over that. It is simply called natural law. Anything outside of that is a construct. Now, a construct is the element between destruction and instruction. It is how you bring in a Trinity to practice. Now, a construct is seen everywhere. So this is, again, spiritual math. Masters who are in this realm have the ability to destroy. Those on the private side know what I'm talking about because I played a video of Conan, and there is a master who calls down a student from a ledge, and that student kills herself based on the wishes of the master. This is a abuse and misuse of power. Amp. It is also a misuse and abuse of power. A map. It is a map because it shares with you how you can become sick and ill in your practice. How it is self-consuming if not done with responsibility. Why we went private. Okay? Because if you do not have these aspects organized, you will move into the realm of depression. You will self-consume and not know its cause or purpose. And the reason why is because of the principled aspects and judgment in which we discussed. If you are not doing it with pleasure, do not do it. If you're not doing it with compassion, do not do it. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. Okay? Again, morality and ethics is based on the time in which you find yourself in. Just because you did something now in this moment, okay, and you got a response, you may discover that that response has been different than when you did it years ago. So this is how morality and ethics remove their masks, and then you witness them for what they really are. They're filters. They're filters of correct action. So do not be too rigid in those. Be flexible. Over 100 years ago, we were using horses for transportation. Today, we're using cars. Tomorrow, we'll be using something else. We build our structures around our activities. Okay? But you must understand when you are in this next stage that there is all possibilities available to you. So, it is your duty and responsibility, at least if you follow the practices that I share here. I must add armor onto you. I must give you a sword. I must give you these things because I need you to stay true to the tree of life, which is singular. And as you stay true to the tree of life, you do not commit violence or theft. Okay? But you do vanquish those that do. One is built in power, the other one is built in force. But bringing these together through your actions, through your work, and bringing together your condition of the mental, you now have a cipher to move into the world. So to recap, how we got here is we explored devotion. And now devotion is where you find enthusiasm. What gets you up in the morning? Okay? What do you advocate for? What is it that you want? Right? What do you fight for? How do you engage in that? I always joke and say, well, what's the purpose of you saying it that way or doing it that way? Words are important, right? The one I like to use is you can say the same thing many different ways. You can say to a woman, you got a face that could stop a clock. Or you can say, when I look at you, time ceases. It's about your engagement, your approach to things. Now, how that functions and forms is based on the conditions in which brought you to where you are. Your environment plays a role in that. If you're around a bunch of roughnecks, chances are you're going to intune yourself. You're going to resonate with that and have a rhythm that is similar to that. Okay? This is how tribes are born, by the way. How platoons, whatever you want to call it, how they group themselves. Because they do resonate. They need to. They become an organism. And this is found in your obsessions. So put yourself in a place where your obsessions are fed. But remember, we went private because we teach you how to use the sword in that arena. Okay? And the sword is how you penetrate into the world. And you only will know that through your urges. Your bursts of flare. I don't want to make this too long. But I do want to be specific because we do lose people here in this section because the color has now come into their life and they want to go and practice it. They want to go see if this stuff really works. And guess what, folks? It's going to work. But you got to remember there's other aspects that we should cover. And I think I should do that before I jump out of here and leave you guys to it. So we'll come full circle here in the end. And then maybe in 10 years I'll come and visit you guys again. We'll see. Anyway, we moved on to the masculine aspects because devotion is the feminine. So important. The internal nature. Oh, isn't she beautiful? Shh. Don't want to spook her. You just want to look, but it's like looking at the sun. It's so bright.
I can see.
Burn your eyes. You can only look for a second at devotion. You start blushing. Does she notice? By the way, she does. She always does. Don't let her fool you. All right. Told you I was have a little bit of fun. Curiosity. He walks in. Hey, buddy. What you doing? Curiosity says, time to get serious. See, between the 7 and the 8, there's also the realm of the Joker, the trickster. This is why you can never kill it. It knows too much. It's the fool. It's got a dog that follows him wherever he goes. And that dog always barks when somebody comes around, so you can't sneak up on him. That trickster, he just pops up whenever he wants to. Anyway, here we go again. Curiosity. The body of curiosity is actually to investigate. Just be curious enough to want to learn a little bit more, right? To know more. Because knowing leads to learning, actually. And learning is a pattern of growth, of evolution. And this is what real evolution is development. Development of skills and talents. Okay? The sciences play a role in this because it is evidence-based. So we have this to our advantage, and we fill our development. It moves up as opposed to our interests, which would be its opposite nature, which would be moving down. It gets depth, it gets deep, instead of development, which gets high, a perspective that we can see at the top. Or interest is the depth of something and how much of it exists. How much we have access to. Pressure. So, curiosity, it wants to acquire things. That's what it burns. That is its fuel. Acquisition. Curiosity needs to fill with diligence. And also, curiosity is very meticulous in its actions because it does not like to miss things. Curiosity. It'll look under every hole and every crack. It'll lift every rock. Regardless of fear, pain, it doesn't care. It just wants to know, learn, satisfy its will and desire. And this is its balance. What you receive from curiosity is strength and drive. As opposed to devotion, what you receive as its balancing point is passion and profession. Then we went to judgment. And these tools you need when you move into this 8th house. Okay? The 8th house of what I call contact. The spirit itself. One focused, manifested light of being an entity of life itself. The tree of life. Intensity. Judgment born from the union of curiosity and devotion. And judgment is how you are going to use your sword to separate the bodies in the infinite world of 8. You need this so that way you do not get lost in your practice and turn into the master in Conan the Barbarian who calls upon the child to come to me. And she jumps. You have now misused your power. So perception. What do you perceive in this world? Have reason behind that, and the world, it'll show you your world. It'll give it to you. You will make it. So, again, why we went private, because when you make your world, you can make bad things too. Just like you make good things. Others will have an evaluation process. You will evaluate it as well. Your skill will be judged by the acumen in which is shown, the point in which it is being provided. Now, judgment gives you a sense and discernment, and it is your only weapon in this world. So, your principles are subjective and reliant on the time in which they find themselves in. There are principles that are built in natural law that we all abide on. Know the difference. Have judgment between those two. And when you move into the world of this next layer and dimension, through your thoughts, you will create your world. Because through ritual, you could actually be lost in your practice. And I want to warn you that this is where flexibility enters into the equation. Flexibility, because each of us are unique and have our own cipher, our own narrative. And we must harmonize with that narrative in order to participate effectively, efficiently, through honesty and integrity, fidelity. How else do you send yourself into the world if you do not have a response? Your morality, your principles, your ethics, these things need to be flexible. The natural law is not. That is permanent. Through judgment, this will guide you in this realm, in the next realm, the private realm, the realm of 8. You need tools when you enter this, from my perspective. You need to know the difference between right and wrong. Instead of the tree of life, which is singular, which is the source itself, life. Think about that. Use that word wisely. It is singular. It is not the tree of life and death. That does not enter into the equation. It is the tree of life, period. The next level is the tree of good and evil. Duality is now born into the world. Fruit can come of it. So, judgment is your tool. You can make it your weapon if you want it to be. There are people out there who require this for their journey. This is why you may find complexity on this channel when you hear me speak of things, because I am speaking to the warrior I'm speaking to the shaman. I'm speaking to the mage. I'm speaking to the knight. I'm speaking to the hunter. I'm speaking to the scientist, the lover. Venus, my favorite, by the way. So, all of you can use these tools for your magical practices, because your magical practices, whether you recognize them or not, you're doing them every day. I am just providing nutrition for that. I am simply Miracle Grow. Which brings us to the last, which is contact. That is the name of 8 in the teachings you're finding here today. What is it? If you know what it is, you know how it changes. You can recognize its exceptionalism, its physical components that make it so beautiful. You can interpret that with compassion. Make that part of your reality. This is the meat and potatoes of the next level. So that way people with color, now that they've moved from the black and white, the checkerboard foundations, into the color, which goes all the way to the number 7, because it's the days of the week. These are the flavors and tastes, the smells and aromas. Next, with contact, you must consider why you are doing what you are doing in this realm. Philosophically, what is your reasoning behind it? What are you reaching for? What is your perspective? You are reaching higher in this manner when you simply discover through contact in the realm of 8 why. It is open. It expresses itself. This is how you get this realm to respond to you. It will show you all. But you have to know how to ask the right question. That is actually how technology is born. Technology is complexity built into an organism that collectively they change and convert one thing into another. The permanence becomes transient. And the more technology we have, we can refine and define into smaller and smaller components. And through extraction, we actually receive its opposite nature, which is implementation. This is about who now. There are more who's in the world because of this interaction, okay, of here and there, the local and the aggregate. It becomes dimensional. It builds upon itself, hence why we see the world the way we do. These things are all in harmony for a reason. This is how we know what is true. This is evidence. If it's happening right here, right now, we know that it is real. If we do not see it happening here or there, then we know that it is not real. It is part of imagination. But see, there you go. Imagination can make it real in this realm. Imagination is how this realm feeds. Consumes imagination. And through that the thoughts become real. Because as above, so below, we have desires, we have will. Why can't these worlds have similar aspirations? Historically, is this not the case? Have you not experienced this? Have you not witnessed this for yourself? When these things have happened in your life? Where were you when you saw a change, something converted from one form to another, from one thought to another? I love you, I hate you. Where did that happen? When did that interaction transpire? This is where experience is born. I was there. I saw it. I heard it. I felt it. All the pieces were in place. Unlike a movie where you just have a snippet of reality. Because curiosity would cause your eyes to wander, look at the ceiling, look at the carpet, smell the kitchen, right? All these things would have played a role in your experience, but in a movie, you don't get to do those things. It is limited. Judgment is overridden. Judgment has left the room. Why? Because there is a difference between perspective and experience, between devotion and curiosity. And that becomes the magical and the practical. So, when you're in this world, you can spend as little or as much time as you want in it. People get lost here. So, tools are necessary. Because when you get to 9,